Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we are going to talk about cybersecurity. We're going to discuss what it is and how to keep yourself safe whenever you are using electronics. So what is cybersecurity? Well, it's essentially all the tools that we use and the actions that we take to keep our computers, our networks, and our information safe and available for those who need it and unavailable for those who should not have it. Right? We want to keep hackers out of our data, and we want to make sure our data is available for us to use whenever we need. So why is cybersecurity important? Well, your identity is vulnerable to theft. Everyone's identity is. And if someone collects enough information about you, they can do all kinds of things like open up credit cards in your name or do all kinds of nasty stuff to you, right? Really, the crime of the future is not going to be, breaking into your house and stealing stuff. It's not going to be stealing your car. It's going to be stealing your identity and using that to try to get as much money out of you as possible before they get caught. This happens all the time, and I'm sure some of us even know people who have dealt with this before. It's a very nasty and pernicious issue, and it's really hard to make it all go away. Something else we want to consider is that we have critical infrastructure in this country that, if attacked by cyber warfare, could cause a lot of devastating issues. Think about our power grid, our water plants, our sewage processing plants, nuclear power plants, voting systems. This is something that's been especially important in the news for the last couple of years. And it's going to be especially irrelevant soon. Voting systems are very vulnerable to cyber attack. And so if we don't have proper cybersecurity, then how are we going to be sure that we can protect those systems? And many security experts list these issues as the biggest issues we're going to face in the next 10 years. So this is important. This is something we all need to be aware of and know how to fix. So the next war is not going to be fought on the ground or in the air. It's going to be fought in cyberspace, right? This is where most attacks are moving to, is cyberspace. We need to prepare ourselves and be ready for that. So let's talk about how we can protect ourselves personally online. So one of the most important things that you own is your information, right? Your personally identifiable information, or otherwise known as PII. This is any data that could be potentially used to identify a specific person, a particular person. If you put PII on the internet, you are leaving it vulnerable, and other people can grab it and use it to do all kinds of nasty stuff. Don't share your phone number, your address, your age, birthday, social security number, or any other information or data about you online, especially with people that you don't know. If you do need to enter PII, for example, if you're banking online, make sure that your session is encrypted. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Now, you'd be surprised at the kind of attacks people can pull off knowing almost nothing about you. It's really important that you do not give away any information about yourself. Now, some information is just going to be available publicly. There's not much you can do about that. But even publicly available information, if someone's able to tie enough of it back to you, they can build a profile of you and use that information profile to do things like open loans in your name, or go onto Amazon and start buying a bunch of stuff in a credit card that they've opened in your name that you didn't even know existed. And then before you know it, you're saddled with tens of thousands of dollars of credit card debt, and you didn't even get to buy the stuff, right? So let's talk about how to keep ourselves safe online whenever we're shopping or doing banking. So every modern browser has a level of encryption that is really good, actually. The encryption that most modern browsers use is called SSL encryption, or secure socket layer encryption. It's actually really robust, and it's definitely good for, filing taxes, doing banking online, buying stuff. Anytime you're putting in a credit card or any personally identifiable information about you into a web browser, you want to make sure that you look at the web address for the website you're on. If you see this S after HTTPS, if you see the S right there, that means you are on a website that's using secure socket layer encryption. If you don't see the S, then your session is not secure. If you're logging into a bank, then it's going to be a secure it should be a secure session. If it's not, you may be on a website that's not exactly your bank's website. For example, right here, this looks like it says bankofamerica.com, but it doesn't. It says bank 0 Famerica, right? That's a 0. And you might have just typed in Bank of America in Google, and this may have been one of the links that popped up. You click it, you think you're going to Bank of America. The website looks like Bank of America's website, but it's not an encrypted session, and it's not actually Bank of America. This would be a cloned site. And so when you put in your information, someone captures that, your account number and your PIN. They capture that. They go to Bank of America's website, log into your account, start locking you out of everything and taking all your money. I mean, it sounds like a really simple thing, and it is. And a lot of these hackers use these really simple techniques, but people fall for them all the time. So make sure that you have a secured session and make sure you're on the correct website. Cyber hygiene. So you want to follow these rules to keep your computer and your data safe. You want to lock your computer with a password when you are in public areas. I would say lock your computer with a password even if you're at home. Shield your keyboard when you type passwords. And this goes for typing your PIN at the, whenever you're shopping at a grocery store or something, you're entering your PIN, cover it up so that the person behind you can't see. Don't let strangers use your computer. You would be surprised at how quickly a stranger could take your cell phone. Hey, can I borrow your phone? My phone's dead and I need to call for a ride. It'll just be 1 second. They take your phone. They go a few steps away. Looks like they're putting in a number to call somebody. All they're doing really is they're going in and changing your passwords in your Amazon account or in your PayPal account because you saved your password in there. They're just getting your login information, changing your passwords, pretending to make a phone call, hand you your phone back. And before you know it, you've just given them your financial information. Happens all the time. Do not share your passwords. Okay, this is a no-brainer. Don't share your passwords with anyone. And speaking of passwords, make sure your passwords are complex and they are robust. All right? So here's some examples of bad passwords. Your birthday. Names, your name, your pet's name, your parents' names, dictionary words, phone numbers, social security numbers. Obviously, those are bad. Movies, TV shows, famous songs, dialogue, dates. This is all bad, right? We don't want to use anything that is easily cracked, okay? Now, you obviously don't want to use any passwords that are, let's say, something that someone who knows you could figure out, right? There's always that bad scene in every movie where someone's trying to hack in to someone's account, and they look around on the desk and they see like a knick-knack or something, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the password. They type it in and that's the password, right? Don't be that person, okay? So here's what you should do for passwords. Always use at least 3 of the following: number, lowercase letters, uppercase letters, or symbols. Now you want to put symbols in the middle of your password, not at the end or the beginning. That's what most people do. So, you put in your password, which is FluffyKitten14, and they go, oh wait, no, you need a special character. Okay, FluffyKitten14 exclamation point, right? That's what most people do. Put it in the middle. That helps to throw off any dictionary crackers that are coming in. So brute force attacks. Brute force is basically they try a password, it doesn't work. They try another password, it doesn't work. They try another password. Brute force attackers can run 4 billion calculations per second, meaning they can try 4 billion passwords per second. Most people use the top 100 used passwords. There's a list of 100 passwords. 85% of people use one of those 100 passwords. So how quickly do you think we can crack into anyone's account if we just run a brute force hacker or a brute force cracker that runs just those 100 passwords? Less than a second, and you're in. So you also want to make sure that your password is at least 10 characters long. Here's why. If you have 6 or fewer characters, it only takes about 3 minutes to crack a password, even if it's complex. If it's 7 characters, about 5 hours. 8 characters, 3 weeks. 9 characters, it will take 5 years to crack that password. 10 characters will take 526 years to crack the password. Obviously, the more characters you add, the more difficult it becomes. But if you add 10 characters into your password and you make sure it's not a dictionary word or something easily traced back to you, no one can get into that system. You have a completely secure password. So again, make sure your password is unique to you, right? Any of the top 1 or 10,000 passwords will be broken immediately. Oh, I got my number wrong. I thought it was 85. I was being generous. It's 91% of people have one of the 1,000 most popular passwords. Almost half of all people use the 100 most popular. So look at these. Let me in, password, I love you, trust no one, clever, welcome, master, sunshine. Like, don't use any of these, obviously. So here's something that you should do. This is something that I teach my AP computer science students. It's one of the first assignments we do. But here's something that you could do. You could basically create a code that you can apply to any place that you're logging into. And all you have to do is remember the code. You don't have to remember your passwords, right? You can create complex passwords that won't get cracked. And you can have a different password for every system you log into. 73% of people use the same password for every system. Here's what that means. If I compromise your email password, and I know that every other system you log into is the same password, all I have to do is go to each system, ask for my username, because, hey, I forgot my username. They send it to the email, and then I automatically know the password because it's the same as every other password you use. Then I can get into that system. I just have to compromise your email account, and I have everything else. So here's how you create a unique code. What you want to do is come up with some kind of system, right? It could be something as simple as take the amount of letters that are in the site's name, so Gmail, that's 5. And then you say, all right, what's the 5th letter in the alphabet? A, B, C, D, E, so E. So we're going to say E, capital E in the beginning. And then, okay, what's an animal that starts with E? Elephant. Okay. So we'll replace all the vowels with special symbols. And in the middle of elephant, so we'll split the word in half. In the middle of elephant, we put the number of appendages that animal has, including, trunk, tail, all that stuff. But we spell it out with the first letter of that being the number. So then your password becomes E, L, @ P, H, 6, IX, capital, well, no, we'll do another @ capital N, throw a capital in there, lowercase t. There you go. Complex password. No one would ever figure out that that's Gmail. But you know, because you understand the algorithm, right? So just come up with something that works for you. And, all you have to do is remember the system, and then you'll remember all your passwords. And you can have a unique password for every system you use. Malware. This is software that can harm your computer. It's usually referred to as a virus, but that's only a small part of the overall picture. Malware is any software that's designed to steal information, spy on you, or gain control of your computer. There are many different categories of malware, and they all spread in different ways, and they do different things. So let's talk about some of them. So viruses. Viruses infect computers, but they need a human to pass them from one computer to another, whether it's by downloading a file or plugging in a flash drive. They need a human to move that file from one computer to another. Trojan horses. This is malware that's hidden inside of other software. You click a link to download a file on the internet, and it turns out it's not actually the file you wanted. It's a virus. Zombie nets or botnets. This is where viruses will compromise a slice of your computer's hardware, and it will use a little bit of your processing power and a little bit of your RAM, and your computer will connect with thousands of other computers on the internet, and a hacker can direct all of those computers to attack a specific site. You'll never know if you're a part of a botnet unless you're paying very careful, close attention to the amount of resources your system is using at any given time. Keyloggers. These are basically software that can track your keystrokes, track your mouse clicks. I mean, think about why it would be important to track your keystrokes. If you're typing in your password somewhere, that can track those keystrokes and see what your password is. Keyloggers are really, really nasty, and they're really hard to spot. Backdoors. These are entry points into a system without any security. So most secure systems have a front with, firewalls and passwords and blah, 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 and all that stuff in the front. But if there's a way through that security without being detected, that's called a backdoor. Now, hackers, sometimes they'll get into a system, they'll install a backdoor that they can use later, then they'll leave the system before they're detected. And then now they have a portal into the system without having to go through the tough to crack security up front. Logic or time bombs. This is malware that lies dormant in your system until a certain time or a certain condition is met, and then it goes off. Spyware. This is software that collects information about you without you knowing about it. It basically collects data about you, either your personally identifiable information or information about your behaviors. How do you use computers? What websites do you visit? What do you mostly buy? Stuff like that. Ransomware. This is pretty rad stuff. It's really gross. Basically, it's software that will hold your computer ransom until you pay a certain amount of money. Usually that's paid in Bitcoin because those transactions are almost completely untraceable. They'll take over your entire computer and they'll say, hey, if you want your computer back, if you want me to unlock or remove this software, you have to pay, $5,000 in Bitcoin. Really gross. Not good stuff. So let's talk about anti-malware software. So antivirus software. There are applications out there that will allow you to protect yourself from viruses, such as Norton Antivirus or McAfee Security Suite. This software costs money, and sometimes you have to pay a yearly subscription fee to keep using the services. They're expensive, but you really don't want to go online without having some form of antivirus software installed on your computer. Without it, you're vulnerable, right? You leave yourself open. With antivirus software, not only are you protecting yourself from viruses, but you can also create a secure vault for all your passwords so that you can have a complex password for each system and you don't have to remember them and you can just load those passwords in there. You can protect yourself from spyware. You can, all kinds of stuff. I mean, these security suites have tons of features, right? So it's up to you to decide how much protection you want and how much you're willing to pay for it. All right, that's about it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about a little bit more about online security. But hopefully you learned something in this lesson. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about how to protect yourself online, and you've learned a little bit about the threats that exist. All right, that's it for me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.